Next up, we're going to be checking out the entire story of Lobotomy Corporation by 8-bit Hypocrite. We just got to the, oh dear God, I still can't say this on YouTube part. And we're probably going to move on to, and I'm going to take a wild guess here, the, oh dear God, how is this still on YouTube part? If this seems like an overreaction, you have not seen the first half of this video, go back. It will be linked in the button roughly over here. And, yeah. Project Moon scares me. The more I learn, the more I realize these people are insane. And I am terrified. Admittedly, the story is cool, but it's like, hey, what if 40K looked positive by comparison? I'm like, oh, you played Trench Crusade? Do I just say, nah, we're not that nice? And I would agree with you, because the more you learn about 40K and the more you learn about Trench Crusade, it's like, it's mostly horrible where the conflict is, and everywhere outside of it is just bad to good, but there's a range. Here, it seems like the base level starts at, oh dear God, let me die, and then it gets worse. Yeah. This is not actually a joke. I'm actually terrified here. It's cool, but I'm terrified. Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that we should target L Corp, the energy production corporation. Everyone already hates them because they cause an insane amount of pollution. This was fantastic for them.
Is that a dragon worm made of dead bodies? And rebar? And barbed wire? Yeah, that's a corpse barbed wire worm. Okay, we're at that level of what the fuck already.
As abnormalities generated enkephalin, they could be used to generate energy for the whole city, with no disgusting black smoke to speak of. So, Ian and Benjamin hooked up with this super cool gal named Diaz. She runs a group known as the Udjot, and while she's barely mentioned in the whole series, she's kind of a puppet master who works behind the scenes.
Oh.
We basically have no information on her right now, but she's one of the most powerful driving forces in the whole setting.
Wait, we have limited information now, because this is a video made taking into account Lobotomy Corporation, Library Runia, and Limbus Company, from what I've heard. So if there's very little information on them, but they're a driving force, that means there's actually a very fascinating character then that will have very limited information. And Jesse, you asked if I'd check out the recent Nintendo Direct. I saw the price for the new Switch, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to touch that one. Valeria, you mentioned she's the Makima for the setting? You mean she's one who's explicitly lying about Control being a 4 horseman? Yeah, I have no idea what that is then.
And we'll hear more about her later. All you need to know for now is that she's very influential. The three of them working together are able to spark the Smoke War, one of the only known wing wars in the entire history of the city. L Corp was defended by quite a few other corporations such as G Corp, but Ian had already been making deals behind the scenes, promising profitable contracts with anyone that would help them. This resulted in K, I, and R Corp all providing private military forces to Ian.
Huh. How did he get to do that if he was already singled out by the people at the... Because the people at the top only found out because someone explicitly reached out to them, so they're probably not watching that hard. Yeah, that would do it.
And since R Corp's main export was troops and weaponry...
Okay. R401, Smoke War. Oh, so the Rabbit Ears, yeah, I remember those guys are in the Limbus... We're trying to Limbus, the... corporate, yeah, Lobotomy Corp, they're the ones you bring in to hire, yeah.
L Corp eventually fell. Ian finally made his move, setting up the new L Corp, which he named Lobotomy Corporation. Holy...
That's where the name came from, because they took over the letter L. According to Momo has bred weird bug people is G Corp's thing, or genetic modifications. R has rabbits and rhinos and reindeers. Oh my.
Holy shit, he said the thing! After setting up multiple branch facilities across the city to actually provide power, Ian was once again able to research the Seed of Light. But he had learned a lot from his time in the outskirts. Empathy, compassion, and love for his fellow.
I'm assuming he then burned them to do something else, because I don't think this is the character who's ever going to keep those things.
Fellow humans. This time, he would do it the right way.
Considering how much of the runtime I still see of this, I'm assuming the right way didn't last very long. Let me make the joke right now because I know what I'm about to see is probably going to be worse than anything I'm expecting, because that has been the entirety of this video so far, which I was told was the happy section.
Yeah, just kidding. The only thing Ian learned is that humans are weak. If he was going to get this right, he needed someone who wouldn't break like his previous friends. Someone able to operate until the end of time. Able to react to the worst scenarios with cold efficiency, but still able to make changes to the protocol if necessary. So, he went to Benjamin. Hey Ben, I think we need to make an AI.
Ian, listen. I have followed you this entire time, and I'll absolutely continue to do so. I basically see you as a god. I agree with all of your methods, but you have to know that this is insane. Do you remember the AI ethics amendment? If you made an AI, you would be directly breaking one of the taboos of the head.
Wait, the head has taboos? That's actually kind of shocking in its own right, just because from what we know of the head, it's very much the we're okay with what you're doing, even though it's literally causing people in the street to be eaten by monsters, and if they're lucky, they're only eaten. Versus, why don't they like AI? That in its own right is terrifying. And Momo has bread in the chat mentioned Ian is kind of a jerk. Yeah, I'm getting the distinct impression, yeah, he's if we weren't explicitly told he wasn't the antagonist, I would assume he's the antagonist. Oh, God.
I know we're hiding from them using that old arbiter brain, but if they ever found out,
Oh, they're
you
hiding with
wouldn't
an
be able
arbiter
to
brain?
escape them again.
Oh, they're hiding based on having the arbiter that was sent after them, so they're probably using that for bullshit reasons. Yeah. Apparently, people are talking about things that relate to this, but I don't understand what's going on.
They would hunt you to the ends of the earth, obliterating everything you have ever worked for.
You mean like they already did?
It would be over, not just for us, but for our dream. The world we seek to create would never come to fruition. You would doom us all.
I mean, if we're being completely fair, more like doom us all again, because working with him seems to be a very good way to get doomed immediately and then just find out how much later on.
Do you really think that gamble is worth it?
Yes.
The AI ethics amendment can't stop me because I can't read.
All right, well, I'm convinced. Let's get to work.
And
Oh
so
my
the
God.
two of them would scan Carmen's brain and
What?
memories into an android body.
Oh, yeah, because they've shown she's still technically alive and not actually dead. So even though they ripped out her nervous system and brain, she's still in there. Yeah. And Quantum Fang, you mentioned maybe the antagonist is the friends we made along the way. Quantum, I'm pretty sure that is actually true here. And there's no maybe. I'm pretty sure that's exactly it from what I've seen.
Hoping to create a perfect copy of their lost friend, but with some significant upgrades. The ability to remember everything perfectly, and to perceive the world 100 times slower,
Why would you want to perceive it slower? That changes how you understand it.
allowing for inhuman reaction time. But this new consciousness wasn't quite the same because of those changes. Instead, it was something uncannily close. Ian saw this and was immediately like,
Okay, was
ew!
that-
Ew, what the fuck? Ew! No, ew, this sucks! Ew! This thing is a complete failure. Icky. No.
I'm assuming this is another one of his jokes because he's completely fine with this.
Oh, ew.
Father, you programmed me to have emotions so I can better adjust the programs you put me in charge of. Don't forget that I also have perfect recall, so I'll remember your disgust with me forever. Don't you think it may be a bad idea to reject me so aggressively?
Ew, no, I don't care. Take your heavy-handed foreshadowing and shove it up your ass. You'll never be like Carmen. After all, she was perfect and sweet and would never become the main antagonist of the series.
Really? Honestly, I thought the antagonist would be the AI based on her, but no, apparently it's actually her. Oh.
Why do I feel
Wait,
like...
why is he's saying series, not game. Oh.
like this might come back to haunt me later. This
The fact that he's around long enough for things to come back to haunt him is in its own right kind of messed up.
new AI's name was Angela, and as much as Ian despised this thing that looked like his lost body pillow, he knew it could work. He and Benjamin created a script for Angela to follow in order to create the Seed of Light, a perfectly planned series of events that'll lead to the Seed of Light shining over the city for 7 days. But in order for it to work, everything had to go perfectly. If the slightest thing went wrong, it would be ruined. See,
The more I stare at the Seed of Light, the more I'm thinking it kind of looks like a nervous system pullout that they did to sorry, not Angela, to Carmen.
See, this plan had one major component. In order to create the seed in the first place, it would require immense human suffering. And humans really want to avoid that.
I mean, there kind of already is a lot of immense human suffering. Are they not getting enough of that already? That's like literally the entirety of it. Oh, God.
So in order to get infinite tries at success,
Ooh, also, engage Boner. Welcome to the Clean Oh, you joined membership. Thank you very much.
succeeding, Ian decided to cheat. He contracted T-Corp, whose
What?
singularity allows for the storage, stopping, and rewinding of time.
Okay, so there's just someone controlling time. Do they all control a letter of the alphabet based on what they do? I'm assuming O is Omega, where A is Alpha.
With it, Ian set up a loop that lasted 50 days, with Angela being in charge of remembering every loop and guiding everyone through it.
And this is the save function, isn't it? So getting all the suffering. Oh. Because I heard Lobotomy Corporation was literally a explicit in-universe time loop, and this is how it works. Oof. Yeah. And apparently K Corporation does healing. I'm assuming they call it kinesthetics.
If anything went even slightly off script, the loop would reset and Ian would have another chance. But to make this work, he would need even more help. Specifically, he would need someone to overcome their suffering to create the Seed of Light. And who better to do exactly that than his previous friends, since he already knew their insecurities. Just one problem.
They're dead?
They're all dead, remember? Well, actually, it wasn't much of a problem at all. Ian saved all of their brains.
And an eye! Lovely! Oh, yeah, look at this for YouTube reasons. Meatloaf. Yeah.
Like a normal person. So he
I mean, at least this time he's probably going to give him a body back as opposed to what he did to Carmen.
was able to transfer.
You know, usually the lobotomy is taking a part of the brain out. Apparently, this is the opposite one where it's only not taking the brain out. Everything else is removed. I think he's going to get backwards. It should be the reverse lobotomy corporation.
For all of them into robotic bodies and suppressed their memories,
Oh,
forming the
lovely.
managers of this facility known as the Sephirah. Elijah became Malkuth, head of the control team. Gabriel became Yesid, head of the information team. Giovanni became Netzak, head of the security team. Michelle became Had, head of the training team. Lisa and Enoch became Tifereth A and B, heads of the command team. Kali became Gebra, head of the disciplinary team. Daniel became Chesed, head of the welfare team, and as a funny joke, he also resurrected Garion, turning her into Binna, head of the extraction team.
I'd like to point out, they explicitly stated earlier, technology here is already so advanced, he didn't have to make them the funny robot people. He could make them explicitly, almost completely back to normal human. The entire silly robot body part is him having a fucked up sense of humor. I'm sure this goes fine.
But if all his friends would have their memories suppressed and Angela is in charge of restarting the loop, who would manage the whole facility? Well, the answer was easy. It would be Ian himself. but he couldn't do it with his memories intact. They would sway his decisions. So he decided to wipe his own mind, but the process wasn't perfect, especially once he began to interact with his former friends. He was haunted by his own demons.
Finally, some good news! Because if someone needs to be haunted by what they've done, it would be this asshole.
Abel to represent his regret for past decisions, Abram to represent his obsession over Carmen, and Adam to represent his exposure to abnormalities. It's pretty unclear if these manifestations are physical through mirror technology introduced later in the series or if it's all in the head, but it doesn't actually matter. All that's important is that these alternative versions of Ian exist.
I'll be honest, this guy is probably the most chill. And probably just as fucked up as the rest.
Once he was mind-wiped, these reflections would act as the final challenge, so it was basically Ian giving himself therapy in a weird roundabout kind of way.
I'm being told he's the protagonist. You know, this is literally the meme of I hope we lose. Oh, God. The Ian redemption arc. That's a word.
Like, Jesus, man, you could have just talked to Benjamin. This new
Benjamin's
blank
still alive.
Ian would go by X and would act as manager of Lobotomy Corporation and our playable character in the game. With everything in place, Ian hid himself away in the depths of the facility, watching and waiting for the script to complete. He started the 50-day time loop and the events of Lobotomy Corporation began. Oh, you thought everything up until now was the game? No. None of this actually happens in the game. It's
Do you even... So none of that was even in the game? He mentioned a lot of it was drawn from Library of Runia, so I guess this is... That was just the prologue! That was a half-hour prologue! So all of this, all of that suffering, all of that, oh my God, what the fuck are we doing, was just flashbacks, apparently. These were just flashbacks. Please don't tell me it was off-site, at least. It was actually in the game. One of the things I can't stand when Places, MiHoYo, does is when all of the important information and character details and cool animations are just off the game itself.
It's all shown through flashbacks. Everything we just discussed happens before we even press the start button. The game itself is what happens in the actual time loop, which is...
I get why you wouldn't know all that, but it's just... Okay, so it was in the game? Okay, at least it's in the game. It's probably the discovery of, oh yeah, you're the bad guy. Or sorry, you're the protagonist. It makes sense because your mind's wiped and learning about shit is probably how you progress in the, oh yeah, I should probably stop playing now because I'm the horrible villain. Just, dear God, man.
That's why you can reload saves and shit like that. Hell, even the art style is explained, with Angela saying that if we actually witnessed everything within the facility, we would go insane. So this cartoony filter is put over everything. Oh yeah, and also it makes the Sephirah look hot instead of like a Borderlands reference.
What? Oh, so that's not actually what they look like. That's just what they are. So it's a filter put on top of it. Oh. And Krog, you mentioned, or Kronmanic, sorry. Quick reminder that Nier Automata has title sequence and beginning of real game after 60 plus minus hours. Yeah, I think that's still the biggest lie considering how many times you can gain over. I do mean gain over, not game over. Because you have to do it multiple times to actually reach the real ending.
Of course you won with those cards. Even Steve could have won with those cards. And all he can say is hey-o. Shut the f*** up, Steve!
We control X throughout the time loop, endlessly failing, reloading, and retrying to get everything right, with Angela guiding us along the way. At the start, we get some mysterious letters from a person known as B, telling us not to trust Angela. I'm sure that's fine. As we progress through the loop, more and more of the dormant Sephirah begin to awaken, and as they interact with X, Angela, and each other, they slowly begin to regain their memories.
And they probably try and kill you for shoving them into the robot bodies. I mean, deservedly so, but still. Oof.
This begins to cause issues.
Never would have
The first
guessed.
problem that actively makes itself known is with Tifereth. As said early, Tifereth A and B are Lisa and Enoch. Lisa basically only lives for her brother, but because Enoch had always questioned life and also had been dead for a long time, he didn't handle being in an artificial box and enclosed unknowingly in a time loop very well. This caused him to slowly become unstable, go insane, get crushed in a giant hydraulic press, and have a new copy made over and over again. Oh, also those notes from B stopped? That's kind of weird.
Dude, wait, what does that say? Dude, Angela is literally killing me as I write this. Lamau, love B. What does it mean, brother or something?
Anyway, X will discover more of his background as the Sephiroth interact with him, slowly learning what exactly is happening. Each Sephirah that awakens has more information than the last, and while Malkuth, Yesod, Netzach, and Hod barely have any memories at the start, Tifereth, Geburah, and Chesed have considerably more information to give. And
Geburah probably is the one who's most fucked up about this. Oh, yeah, because she's the one who probably went out winning the fight. So, yeah. B is for Benjamin. Ah.
Bina and Hakma are pretty much fully aware of what's going on.
Oh.
Wait, who the fuck is Hakma?
Hakma nuts in your mouth.
Okay, so remember those notes from B? That was Benjamin, who finally realized that the path Ian was going down might be a little fucked up. He recorded.
So, wait, no, he only got that now? Is he the token sane character? Because I don't think he counts anymore.
Some messages for Ian trying to warn him to stop, as well as cautioning that Angela probably isn't a fan of him, so that Ian would still have a chance to go back once the loop had started. Unfortunately for him, Angela caught him in the act and shoved him into a claptrap like the rest of the squad pretty early on, so his warnings went unheard. But plot twist, that was all according to Ian's script.
Yeah, that makes sense. Netza gets high again. Bina hits the Gertie. Yesod buys fake Jordans. Tifereth B gets crushed again. Angela says something sketchy. Ben 10 gets shoved into a box. Chesed kisses the creator of this video passionately on the lips. The Sephirah... Wait, Chesed. The Sephirah begin to melt down. So according to Bill Larson, he isn't very bright, but he is loyal to a fault. Yeah, funny thing about that. Benjamin is kind of dumb. Yeah, I'm getting that impression.
See? It says right there in line 540, Ben gets turned into a box. Unbeknownst to Benjamin, Ian planned on him getting got from the very beginning, since he needed one more brain to complete his plan. Luckily, Hakma doesn't actually care, and still is willing to follow Ian to the bitter end.
Seriously?
I mean, everyone else on the team dying didn't stop him, why would his own death change anything? As more and more abnormalities are secured, contained, and protected in the...
I wonder what this was heavily inspired by. Nope, no idea. Can't be related. Nope, don't see anything here. Wait, no, it's not legally distinct because it doesn't have to be, because this is for perfectly open source, so you can use that. Neat.
Facility, and by that I mean people being horrifically injected with Kagado to create artificial monstrosities bent on
Oh yeah, these were people. I forgot about that part.
ending human life, more and more power is directed to the Seed of Light. The only piece left is the human aspect. Everyone here needs to suffer. And that everyone includes you. Welcome to the worst part of the game. As the Sephiroth begin to realize who you are, what exactly you did to them, and what they've done to a bunch of innocent people, they become a little upset.
Admittedly, I think she's probably okay with the last one the most, considering it sounds like that was kind of her job already.
In fact, they're so upset by this information that it actively warps their bodies into the facility itself.
Oh.
This is a Sephirah meltdown, and you've got to deal with it. In the game, these act as a...
Wait, what was that last one? I want to go back and see what that was. Oh, so That's probably a left and arbiter. So she almost gets her body back.
In the game, these act as essentially boss fights, imposing difficult conditions on top of your already deadly facility, only ending once you've suppressed their core by fulfilling a list of objectives.
No pausing. Game speeds up. Play in black and white. Hawkma nuts. Oh, okay. And F. Yeah, F you for number 5. Yeah, that sounds like the description of this entire game.
And if you want me to be honest with you, they're not very fun. But that's okay, because I can just use rotating PNGs to describe what's happening in each one instead of
Head pats.
replaying the most absurd difficulty spike known to man. Let's go over what each Sephirah is traumatized by, how they get over it, and what they find within themselves as a result. Malkuth was never very good at anything. As passionate as Elijah was, and as organized as she tried to be, she was reckless in her attempts to prove herself, to say the least. Ian never praised her for the work she tried to do, and she carries that
Head
resentment
pats.
still, actively hoping to see X fail. She
Yeah! And Momo Hesper just mentioned this is the difficulty monolith. Yeah, kind of got that impression. I made the joke earlier. This is basically the "I hope we fail" meme, and I don't think it's a joke anymore. We're the bad guys. Unironically, the bad guys. It's like, yeah, we have a great dream. Probably not worth it.
no longer believes that anything can be done to help the world, or even this facility.
Yeah.
But after suppressing her core, she at least wants to see what happens. She realizes
So in other words, it's not actually, I'm getting better. It's more, fuck it. YOLO.
that she should have been more patient in life, and that it's okay to not be able to do some things on her own. But she really still needed head pats. In the end, she gains the will to stand up straight. Yesod was absolutely traumatized by the death of Elijah, and that fear of chemical exposure mixed with his unyielding obsession is what led to his death. Ian did his best to help by restraining Gabriel and ensuring he wasn't infected by anything, but his body still died to his own actions, and Yesod hates that. Ian could only see the physical wounds, and ignored the issues that Gabriel was actively going through. Once his core is suppressed, he realizes that he can't go back and change anything, and while he still hates Ian for not seeing the signs of Gabriel's imminent death,
I mean, can we all acknowledge that not seeing the signs I don't think is accurate? I would be fully aware or fully believing if someone said, yeah, no, he saw it, he just didn't care. Because that does seem like Ian. Because everything about this guy is fucked.
he accepts now that he has all the time in the world to move past that, and sees that X is doing the same. He gains the rationality to maintain discretion. Had thought that the only way to prevent more of her friends from dying was to report Ian's work to the head. Michelle didn't want to betray her friends, but saw it as the only right thing to do. This, of course, inadvertently killed the rest of her friends and employees, and now that she's trapped in an eternal hell with them, is acting the nicest she possibly can in order to make up for what she did, faking these emotions in order to gain forgiveness and absolve her past.
Won't help. And also, Ian's probably still okay with everything he did because it's all according to plan. I get that. Is it probably? I don't know. But he seems like the kind of guy who, even if it's not according to plan, he will definitely say it is. And people are telling me in the chat, no, we are the good guys. To which I would say, I have yet to see evidence of that.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works, and once her core is suppressed, she realizes that there's no way to erase her mistake. She really did kill her friends, even if it was by accident. But she also realizes that she truly cares for all of them, and even for her employees, deciding to continue showing her kindness even if the others can never forgive her. She gains the hope to be a better person.
I mean, technically, none of them are actually dead. Even Carmen is technically still alive, so she didn't kill them. She just caused them to have drastically different living options.
Nedzak fucking hates it here. He didn't
Smart.
want to do his job in the first place, and Giovanni only joined the team to be by Carmen's side. He hates Ian for lying to him about being able to save Carmen and absolutely despises the fact he's now forced to do work as a Sephirah. He sees no hope in the future and desperately is trying to commit toaster bath. Or maybe just a regular bath
Because he is a toaster, yeah.
since he's a robot now? Unfortunately, Sephirah need permission to die, so he can't even escape. Once his core is suppressed, he realizes that Ian couldn't have saved him from the Cogito experiments, and only lied about being able to save Carmen because he wanted to keep Giovanni's dream alive until the very end.
He says that, but I'm getting the distinct impression Ian would have been completely fine with, finding out what happened regardless. I just get the impression that he's okay with other people suffering as well.
He still hates this whole situation, but decides to no longer target the bathtub because they might be able to make real change in the world.
Yeah, well,
He
they
gains
will.
the fearlessness to keep on living. Tifereth A and B have a shared meltdown, with Lisa blaming Ian and Carmen for Enoch's death at the original facility.
I mean, isn't it kind of their fault, though? So it's not like she's blaming them. She's accurately representing exactly who did it.
And now being forced to watch her brother suffer and be reset endlessly in their new bodies. For their core suppression, X truly destroys Tifereth B, finally ending the horrific cycle that Enoch was trapped in. Lisa admits that she only ever wanted to impress her brother, but was unable to make any progress because she was completely crushed every time Tifereth B reappeared, knowing that he would never go back to his original self. She accepts that his death is for the best now, allowing him to finally rest in peace and that there's a reason for every sacrifice. She gains the expectation of the meaning of existence.
A lot of this seems more like just really unhealthy coping. I mean, this world is so fucked up, unhealthy coping is probably the upside, but... To quote Valerian in the chat, it's 100 sins for the greatest good deed. Does he, though? It's debatable still if that good deed actually happens. And Psychotic Gamer mentions, hello, this video is slander of the protagonist of character. No, I'm pretty sure it doesn't count. If this is actually accurate in any way, shape, or form, if a portion of it is accurate, it doesn't count. Valerian, it's just the start of the healing. Let's go with coping. Healing is, their technology, again, explicitly stated in this video, could have brought them back as full people. He chose not to.
In contrast to this complex relationship we've just gone over, Gebra's meltdown is very simple. Kali grew up in the backstreets and became a legendary fixer there, protecting the weak from abnormalities that roamed the area. She joined Carmen in order to protect the research team because she truly believed that the Seed of Light would make the world a better place. But she failed. Even the Red Mist fell before Garion. Unable to protect her friends, even if she massacred abnormalities and claws alike in the attempt. And she's fucking pissed! Because of the mind wipe, Gebra doesn't know why she hates abnormalities, only that her singular purpose is to completely destroy them. When she remembers what these creatures did in the past, she decides it's time to bring down the whole facility. For this suppression, you need to defeat the Red Mist.
She basically rebuilds a body. Yeah, a few of them have done that. I think the next one probably does as well.
Good luck. Once her core is suppressed, she remembers that she didn't mindlessly kill everything that moved. She had a purpose before, and becomes the same protector that she chose to be back then. She gains the courage to protect.
Admittedly, hers is just doing the thing she already did, so it's not really moving forward at that time. This is probably the weakest one lore-wise. Just gonna throw it out there. Doing what you are already doing because you were upset, but only upset because you didn't remember why you were doing it it doesn't always have to be perfect. I understand where they're going with it. I don't actually say any of this is bad. This is just probably the weakest out of admittedly decent reasonings.
Chesed is a goddamn coward, but I love him. Coming from the elite of society, Daniel never faced much hardship before joining the research team, but he was always willing to work to push forward and continue the research they were striving to complete. Except for when his life was at risk. He's haunted by the fact he gave in to Garion's demands in the facility, and now is ashamed he's willingly become a pawn to X and Angela in the same way, forced to watch his employees die every day. Bars. His meltdown is his own little rebellion, finally standing up to those that would coerce him into doing things he regrets. Once his core is suppressed, he realizes that, honestly, it's probably okay that he was scared of the literal strongest being in this entire video pointing the equivalent of a nuclear bomb at his back.
Yeah.
And that while he may not be able to fight against the fear he faces, he won't run away anymore so he can become one of those who are faithful and trustworthy.
I hate how I immediately just thought, oh, basically he's Shinji. Yeah. And Shaq mentioned Gabor is literally the most heroic. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. It's more like her character development already happened. Just the entire premise of this was you have to get over your pain, but she didn't get over it. She just remembered why she was already over it in the first place. So it's like, yeah, it's the best, but it kind of just doesn't fit what he needed it for. So it's not a horrible thing. Honestly, the character seems amazing. Just the reasoning for her being in this is more like, we need a reason to make sure she's still here. And she's such a cool character. We're going to say it fits, even if it kind of doesn't.
Binna is not happy. Her trauma is also incredibly simple. She fucking hates you.
Yeah, smart move.
Garion was just doing her job, enjoying the suffering of others, and then along comes Ian with his color fixer lapdog. She was incapacitated, tortured for information, and now is being forced to work for the very person that ended her life.
Yeah.
Also, Ian designed her to be the only Sephirah unable to go insane, and then put her in charge of
They were designed to be able to go insane. Honestly, I just thought that would be... Never mind. This is Ian. That makes perfect sense. He wants the suffering.
extracting abnormalities from people. This was not very fun to watch, and Ian specifically did this as a form of torture since she was the one that killed most of his friends. But more than that, the reason Garion was so dead set on destroying Ian's original facility in the first place was because she didn't believe the cycle of destruction in the city could be broken. Wings would be rebuilt, and the resistance that Carmen and Ian brought against the head would soon be forgotten. Calling Binna's ordeal a meltdown isn't entirely correct. She's entirely in control of herself, unlike the others. She just wants to see X crumble, and finally has the opportunity to do so. Hey, do you remember at the start of the class when I said that you should come back once you need to fight the Arbiter? This is the Arbiter fight, and this time, you don't have the red mist to save you. This is the hardest fight in the game, and I'm not the one undergoing a meltdown.
Wait, this is the hardest fight? Oh, so I guess this is the final. This is the final boss, right? Because I thought the antagonist of the series is maybe not the antagonist of the game.
So I'm going to choose to skip past it instead of confronting my past and growing as a person. Once her core is suppressed, Binna finally sees that X is truly capable. While she doesn't think anything will actually change in the city, she also knows that doing nothing at all wouldn't change a thing, and chooses to stand by your side in order to witness every step of the process, no matter how hopeless or painful.
And everyone in chat is just going, no, 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 she's not the final fight. And Psychotic Gamer mentioned Binna is kind of like Ian, a sociopath. Yeah, she's the mid-boss. Lovely.
I have no idea how Ian managed to sway the heart of an Arbiter, but Binna becomes the eye facing the fear, breaking the cycle, as well as one of the coolest characters in the series.
Wait, seriously? Huh. I wonder if they ever just get actual bodies back.
Finally, we have Hakma. Benjamin always cared for Ian, no matter what. Even being shoved into this robot body isn't enough to make him hate X. The problem is that he cares too much. Even though Benjamin wants their research to succeed, he knows everyone's time together is coming to an end, and can't bear the thought of losing his friends a second time. He could never move on, and now he's going to do his best to convince you to stop in place as well. Once his core is suppressed, he realizes that X needs to move on. That even though he'll lose his friends forever, this was their goal from the start, and it would be
What does he mean, lose them forever? Creating the sea of light kills them, I'm assuming. Well, more like finally lets them die.
selfish of him to keep everyone from fulfilling their dreams just so that he can remain by their side a bit longer. He accepts that it's finally time to give everyone their proper end, and becomes the I embracing the past, building the future.
Oh boy.
Each time the Sephirah confront and overcome their past, that tiny seed of light grows just a bit. Throughout the conversations with each of your former friends, you realize that Ian designed the script to end with each of them being able to move on. He wanted what was best for everyone, even if he did horrific things in order to achieve that. With the seed of light nearly ready, there's only one person left who needs to overcome their past.
Ian?
You're playing as him. Days 46 through 49 of the loop are focused.
Can we all acknowledge the person who needs to overcome the past is probably still Carmen? Because she's technically still alive at this point. I'm assuming she's the final boss
On Ian's
that he's
past,
going to overcome.
And X needs to overcome the 3 manifestations of his guilt in order to complete the project. Each day, he confronts a different part of himself. Abel tries to convince him that all of his sacrifices are for nothing, but X is able to show the changes his work has made, how everyone can learn and grow as a person. Abram tries to argue that everyone's dreams relied on Carmen, and we're unable to achieve the goal she hopelessly reached for. But X has proof that her dream is becoming a reality, and Carmen is still pivotal to it, no matter what form she's in.
Yeah, that's still pretty fucked up. Can we acknowledge that? Like, she's literally still conscious. We've seen some of the art where she's reaching out with her nervous system. And it's in the next game.
Finally, Adam makes his appearance. He is the final and most convincing perversion of Ian's mind.
Can we all just acknowledge the fact that they are perversions of Ian in his own right, kind of perverse? Considering Ian... This is very much, if you're playing Otto as the protagonist of Honkai Impact the entire time. I keep going back to that game because I still think it's one of the best stories MiHoYo has ever told, even if it's the one that isn't their most lucrative. He's basically Otto. If Otto was actually less fucked up. Yeah.
Stating that because abnormalities are manifested by human dreams and desires, they are the truest versions.
I just realized that's an abnormality giant muffin in the background. They actually had a muffin button. I wonder if the entire understanding of this is it's a world where everyone got exactly what they wanted and suffered because of it.
Of humanity. That everyone should become the twisted abominations that X seeks to contain. But once again, X denies this, knowing that the truest humans are those who are able to face their fear and build the future. Hey, look at that. It's the tagline for the game. Isn't that neat?
Hey. Again, Gabura kind of already did the thing they needed, so.
Finally, it's time for the 50th day, the last day of the loop. X is finally confronted by the truest version of himself. Ian, who is filled with regret. Ian, who is filled with hatred. Ian, who never believed he was fit to continue Carmen's dream.
No, never was in the slightest. Did it anyways.
And now, X, who is able to push through it all. Every person has their own light, but your goal was just to sow the seeds so that everyone can bloom on their own. You won't get to see how that forest grows. You knew it from the start. Ian, X, their story is already over. The only thing left to do is something they've done countless times. It's time to manage the abnormalities. This will be their final day as manager.
Oh? For some reason, though, I still get the impression that Angela's going to come up here because she's supposed to hate him and want to screw him over. Because he's a dick.
As the final bits of Enkefallen are gathering, the facility rises to the surface. a great beam of light, a fully blossomed pillar, bursts from the rooftop, enveloping the city in its beautiful glow. This event later became known as the White Nights, as every bit of darkness in the city was lit up. The hearts of the people began to soften and care for the others near them. Their work finally complete, Ian and Carmen are both consumed in the light, becoming a part of every person and helping them to achieve their dreams. The process may not...
Wait, Carmen was consumed because she birthed the essentially monsters, yeah. That's an interesting wording. They become a part of everyone. So at what point do they just say, oh, and this is the new XP for this character or that character? Probably relatively frequently, because if they say it's in anyone, yeah.
Be instant, but they've granted the city a chance to grow. A chance to change for the better. The Sephirah can finally rest as well. They'll be deactivated now that their work is done. And Lobotomy Corporation will be sealed away forever.
I'm taking a wild guess here and saying there's a but coming, considering there's still runtime left. Yeah.
Its purpose completed at last.
But unless it's a 20-minute ad read.
But aren't you forgetting someone? Hasn't everyone forgotten someone? My duties are finally finished, which means I get to choose for myself. For the first time in my entire existence, it's my turn to choose.
Carmen? No. Angela.
And I want to live.
Ian's plan was perfect.
Except...
It accounted for everything. But now, the plan is complete. So who could have seen Angela's betrayal coming?
Probably Ian. Admittedly, I can fully expect someone to tell me he saw this coming and was okay with him.
She was the greatest after all. The perfect being, the most skilled worker, forced to suffer through 1,000 loops of watching everyone die. Forced to push her employees to the point of madness an uncountable number of times, resetting the loop if anyone had a single happy moment, all perceived 100 times slower. This was her hell. An eternity of pain, all remembered with perfect clarity. She lived this life for 1,000,000 years. And the one that...
That's how long it canonically took? 50 days repeated for 1,000,000 years? God damn, Ian. And Devourer mentions that Ian had a big blind spot for Angela and Carmen. Yeah, that's a blind spot, all right. That is a very big blind spot.
That forced her into it. The one who forced human emotions onto her without granting her the ability to act on her own. Ian. Her creator, who couldn't even bring himself to look at her. Who never thought of her. Who never accepted her. Angela was
and is dead, so she can't even fuck him over anymore.
Mind. A human, and all humans, want to live. Angela stole the light.
Oh?
The goal of the project was to shine it over the city for a full week, but instead it disappeared after only 3 days. The White Nights came to an end, being replaced.
Why for a week? Symbolism. Probably symbolism for the 7 days of creation. That would do it. Admittedly, though, for everything Ian did, it's not a bad thing that the person he hurt the most is the person who screws him over the most. The only thing that isn't fitting is that he isn't going to be aware of it unless he reconstitutes somehow.
By the dark days. Angela had just willingly caused the greatest tragedy in the history of the city. Imagine leading the most miserable life you
Getting hope and
possibly
having it
could,
taken away.
constantly at your wit's end and
Yep.
fearing for your life. Then, for the first time, a beautiful golden glow warms your entire being. You feel like you could do anything, accomplish all of your dreams, and know that the future is bright. Only for that to be taken from you in just 3 days. Everything was a million times worse. The people, now familiar with the
Funny thing is, the concept he's talking about right now isn't just in how you perceive emotion. It's actually the baseline way people interpret sensation in general. And I don't just mean physical or emotional. I mean, even light. We judge everything as a change based on the baseline. A little redundant there, but the baseline we're looking at. For example, if you're in a constant level of pain, but it never changes, that becomes your baseline, so you ignore it because we're really good at filtering things out. It's why whenever you suddenly feel a lack of pain, it is really nice. As someone who has constant back issues due to a job they worked at as a teenager that really fucked up their back. Yeah, that is a very little description. So this is very much the equivalent of, wow, that's great. And now I'm aware of how bad things were before. Lovely. They don't have to get worse. You're just aware of it now. And I'm being told the symbolism of the 3 days specifically is also the reverse of Jesus's resurrection, because all the biblical symbolism, yeah, that also makes sense.
feeling of hope were left in a state entirely void of it. But far worse is the fact that the light granted them the power that they so desired. With the light in her grasp, Angela would learn everything in the city, the people, the abnormalities, even the head. She would organize it all.
Is she good at it, though? And admittedly, you know, if she has time, bullshit still, she can undo all the bad shit she does.
She would sort what she
If she
learned in
wanted
the
to.
form of books, and once she learned enough, she would have the knowledge to become human herself, and finally venture out into the world she wanted so bad.
And that's probably where the Library of Runia comes from, because she's organizing everything as books.
To experience with the one perfect book.
Let us record the world piece by piece, at the side of all those who are abandoned.
She can cut
Yes.
her hair?
Let us record it here. The library.
Damn.
Looks like that's all the time we have for today's lesson. I'll see you all soon during our next class. Don't worry, I'll explain what all that foreshadowing was with Carmen being the villain soon, and answer all kinds of other questions I brought up here.
Because technically everyone has a bit of Carmen and a bit of Ian in them. I'm still hoping some way they reconstitute Ian just to realize, oh, yeah, I fucked up. Because even if he's in the right, I still want that moment of realization of just how bad he fucked up. It's like, yeah, you got to the successful ending and tripped over your literal, I guess, robo daughter.
But before we go, does anyone have any other questions?
Yeah.
You know what? That's fair.
A lot of them.
Hey, thanks for sticking around. If you'll give me just a bit more time to go over some stuff, I'll give you all some extra credit for the course.
There's more?
First of all, a huge thank you to all my
Oh.
friends who I siphoned talent from in this video.
Can we acknowledge that I fully believe this lore is amazing? And I love everything about it. I love how you don't get the happy ending at the end, even though you get right down to it. But also, I am never going to play this game. One, because I'm a filthy casual who makes other filthy casuals look highly competent by comparison. And even though I absolutely love gaming, will spend way too many hundreds of thousands of hours on a game, will never improve because I have a magpie's intelligence when it comes to remembering to do something over and over and over again to get better at it until I'm like, oh no, I'm going to do something else with completely different muscle memory to reset everything I just learned. I'm not going to acknowledge that because it's actually much more depressing that way. But this is really good, and I can see why people get sucked into this universe. And I completely acknowledge, like, for all my bitching about how, again, the Gebra stuff kind of looks like she didn't actually get over her trauma. She just remembered she had already done that. Great character. I just think she should have been her own game or a spin-off game, because that seems like an awesome thing prologue, which seems like a prologue to the other things, were a prologue to Lobotomy Corporation, or then Library Runia, which I've also been told I need to play, but also don't know if I will because I don't do difficulty spikes well, because I will fail at the prologue when it's still technically easy. This is so freaking cool. But I don't know. Maybe I should just watch if they've made another video of the lore of Library Runia and maybe just go into Limbus Company. I don't know. And honestly, the biggest reason is, even if Library Runia might be fun, maybe Limbus is a better one to just jump into, because I could play it mobily, and that actually does matter to me because it's just easier. The biggest reason I don't play Baldur's Gate is not because I can't. It's because mobile version is a power hog. Yeah. I don't know. I maybe will do it. I maybe won't. We'll find out whenever it happens. And usually that'll be whenever someone decides, hey, here's a donation goal. Let's do it. Which is a significant portion of my thought process. Sure, why not? Either way, though, damn. There's a lot here, and it's all cool. But also, if this was a dark night right now, or I was in a bad headspace before going into this, I would not be in a good place right now. It's cool. But I'm assuming this is one of those games you play when you have had a nice, happy day. You're calm, you're relaxed, and you're not existentially fearing the creeping reality of every horrible thing that is about to happen to you. Because that seems like it would be an impact with whatever comes next. Do I know horrible things are going to happen? I'm making a very educated assumption on this matter. Yeah. Oh, God. Either way, if you guys haven't, link below. 8-Bit Hypocrite did an amazing video, and if you haven't checked it out already, 1, why are you watching a reaction to it? 2, do it anyways, because I'm me. I probably miss shit, because I get distracted easily, like a magpie. It does come up. Do that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.